This video is a guide to create your own version of the puffed reach sleeve. I'll show you two ways to draft the pattern, the sliding method and the slash and spread method. I'll also show you how to sew it. Hi, it's Linda here from Stocks Patterns, and after I shared this sleeve here on social media, I thought I could release it as a pattern, and then I thought maybe I can just show you how to make it. This is a short puff sleeve, and it's based on the reach sleeve. So it has gathers at the top and gathers at the base of the sleeve, and this extra width is in an elasticized partial casing. So it creates a different silhouette. It's almost playful, and it's going to be very nice as a summer sleeve. This sleeve feels really fun to wear. It's very comfortable. There's a reach sleeve in the Birdy family and also in the Eve family. The red blouse is the winter Birdy blouse. The black is an Eve top. The reach sleeve enables so much more movement than a standard sleeve. There is a reach sleeve included in the winter version of the Birdy dress and the Birdy blouse. It's also available as an extension piece. If you would like to make this puffed reach sleeve for the Birdy family, the dress or the blouse, start with the Birdy reach sleeve. And for the Eve family, start with the reach sleeve from this pattern group. The reach sleeve is included in the Eve dress, the Evelyn dress, and is also available as an extension pack. Okay, first thing we do is trace around the sleeves. Because it's a short sleeve, I'll go down to these notches. That's just above the dart. You can use a pen because it gives you a nice sharp line. If you're going to use a pencil, please make sure it's sharp. Okay, so down to this notch. Alright, here's our starting point. I'll just cut it out. Because I'll be adding a new center line. Here's how I find the new grain line. So that's our symmetrical top part of the reach sleeve. Then draw a second line across. So now transfer these lines onto the paper below. I'm doing this because you can then mark the lines so that you can control how everything grows. So put your piece back on and make sure it's nicely lined up. I find it useful just to put a little mark where the original piece is. So I'd like the width here to grow 6 centimeters. So I'll put a 3 here, and 3 here. And at the top, I'd like it to be a bit puffy, so 4 centimeters at the top. So to add the width, slide along the horizontal line, make it sure it's lined up on either end, and draw just about until the curve starts here to go upwards. Then slide it back across the other way to your other marking. Nice there. Also just draw in this bit. So then back to the middle. Then sneak this up 4 centimeters. And just draw the top bit with the notch. And then slip this back to about 2 centimeters. And this is the sort of fun bit. This you can use the pattern piece too. So just rotate it until you're touching about this line here. Then draw it up to about there. Do the same with the other side. And you know, then I just join that up by hand. So the head of the sleeve, oh, you can use the sleeve here to join it up. You can see you've got about that much extra on the front. And yeah, use your pattern piece to even up these lines. Okay, I'm going to put them here. Okay, so you've got this much here that has to be, so half as much of that will have to be gathered in. I'd like the finished sleeve to be 34 centimeters long. It's 32 centimeters. I'll add 1 centimeter ease, so that's 33 centimeters. Okay. So from seam allowance to seam allowance, I've got 43. So I want to have my gathers in the center of the sleeve. So 43 minus 33, that is my upper arm plus 1 centimeter ease, equals 10. I want 2-to-1 gather, so that would be 20 centimeters that I need here in the middle. So that is 11.5, 20 and 11.5. So that 20 centimeters will gather into 10. So 11.5, 11.5 and 10 equals 33. Because this bit here isn't quite wide enough. So do it a bit rough. What I'm after, cut it down to about there on both sides. Get this nice and lined up. That would be smart if I did it this way, wouldn't it, folks? Excuse me. There's the 5 centimeters. That coming down like that needs to be a right angle, because otherwise it'll be pointy. So you can just sneak that in at the 43. And here I just do a gentle shape like that. This is your 10 centimeters. And I have a handy thing like this. Let me go up to 5. So this is the line that we'll use to install the elastic, and make sure you also put a nick here so that you know that it needs to be folded that way and that your elastic comes here. I'll show you how to sew it together also. There we are. So that's the first method. Here's the pattern piece we did at the beginning. So for the slash method, it's also a good idea to have these lines so that you know where you are. I'll just transfer them onto the paper below. This method will show quite clearly where the extra fabric will be going into the sleeve. So here's your starting point. So like this, and then you'll need an extra line just where this curve starts to develop. And then, because we're slashing and spreading, put in lines like this. It's also a good idea to number them. So now we're going to cut all of these lines. So let's start with this big piece and put 3 centimeters in the middle. Now, I like glue, but you can also use tape. Okay, 3 centimeters. And again, these control lines are pretty useful, just to make sure everything's nicely lined up. By the other method, we went up 4 centimeters. So these two beauties. Can be arranged in such a way as to form something a bit like that. So from here to here is about 1.5. And when that's dry, you've got the other method. And like the other method as well, okay. Alright, so let's cut this out and put in the elastic bit. Line up the side seams, fold in the center, so this piece does have seam allowance, just in case I didn't mention it. So here's 34, plus the 5 centimeters hem that I want for the elastic. Then here 5 centimeters. Minus seam allowance. Chop off that. With a deep hem like this, this is not as long as here. So fold it upwards. I think this is called mirroring the hem. But that down there is not a right angle. That'll be pointy at the side. Unless you make this sneaky curve. Okay. These points will have to be marked so that you know where to insert the elastic. So I'd probably put a notch here. And a hole so that I can mark the pattern here with my handy So here's the second method of how to make the puff reach sleeve. Okay, these two methods produce pretty much the same result. So I'd just like to add a couple of general points. If you've got quite a fine material, you can put more in the middle. If you'd like more puff, just go up a bit higher. With a puff, it's pretty forgiving. If you'd like to have this puff on your longer sleeve, you can go back to the original. Put it pretty much in the middle on either side here. And you know what? I'd probably just blend those. And you'd have a lovely classic leg of mutton sleeve. So I've cut out a pair of sleeves. I've marked all of the notches. So the first thing I will do is neaten these three edges. Alright, so this is neatened. There's the notch, there's the dot. just for so we know where we are. Alright, I'm going to go and iron this. So I've just ironed these pieces, the hem upwards, and then these parallel lines, because now I'll sew these horizontal lines for the casing. So I've just sewn these lines between the points. So this is 1 centimetre, this is about 3.5. I suggest that rather than cutting your elastic into short lengths, that you leave it in a long piece and rather mark it so that you know where you are, because otherwise it's not much fun. So put 2 centimetres there. Let's put 10 here. Then another 2. Another 2. And a 10. And another 2. Let me show you why. Because you're going to have to thread this through. You're going to have to thread this through and then pull on it, and doing it with a little piece is no fun at all. So here you've got your pink line there, so pull the pink line back until it lines up with your notch. Pin securely. And then pull it through until you find, oops, then pull it through until you find the other pink line. There's the other line. There's the line, because that's the seam allowance and that's the seam allowance of the next piece. So I guess I've just made my point about why that's a good idea. Okay, now I'm just going to sew that. Okay, here's the casing in action. I've sewn it twice on each end, just so that it's nice and secure, and also this double stitching ties in with the double stitching on the eave. So the next step will be to join the underarm sleeve. And also put 2 rows of stitching at the top of the sleeve that can be gathered in. Okay, so I've joined the underarm seam. You'd iron that open. Here you can decide whether you'd like to stitch from there to there with a machine, or whether you can just secure it here in the shadow of the seam. because it'll stay up. And at the top, I've put 2 rows of gathering stitches. I used a number 4 on my machine. This is about 11 centimeters on either side of the apex. So you know how to do this, I guess. So you take the top threads and you pull them parallel until you create the length and the amount of gathers you want for the head of your sleeve. All of the other notches will work as they should. You can use this sleeve construction for the birdie or for the Eve. My recommendation would be to start with the sleeve that belongs to the appropriate pattern. And voila! If you'd like to experiment with different sleeve lengths, the best thing you can do is make a mock-up. That's the very best way to see how the proportions will be. I hope you liked the video and enjoy your new puffed reach sleeve. Let me know how you go. Share your results on Instagram if you like, and visit me on the website for new patterns and tutorials, and let's keep in touch. Thanks, and see you next time.